All right, what's up, everybody? We just did a video on how to cope with the top 0.1% videos where we kind of got destroyed. What I'd like to do here is actually, we had a good match against similar grade players. And so it went better, thanks in part to feedback from you guys, so appreciate that. But there's some things that I picked up here that are kind of must-haves. And we're going to go into that a little bit. One of the things that I want to talk about a little bit is actually cover. Cover, it's critical for maneuvering around the map, but when you get to these engagements, because the TTKs are so tight, peak shotting becomes a problem. Because a lot of these guys can push up on you like by the time you've peaked and come back out, they're right up on top of you. So unless you're running a shotgun or something like that, you're going to have an issue. So something to note is cover actually, in my opinion, against these top 0.1%ers is a little bit less important in terms of once you've committed to the fight, right? So we'll get into that a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and hit play here. I've slowed this down again to about 0.25%. I'm going to try and cover these topics in real time as fast as I can. So opening match here. Well, okay, we're getting to the match. I'm just starting to get warm here, and this player was pretty good. Currently, it seems like, at least in trials, he listed top 500, and I think it was 0.1% in Rumble also. Now there I did peak shot a little bit and worked out, but you can see he's closing the gap pretty quick. Watch this motion right here. Look at this. Boom, right? In my old DPI settings, I would not have been able to track this guy. Simply would not have been able to track this guy, especially with all that flinch. Now, I was able to actually get 3 shots off on him. I think I did have some assistance from the side there, but the point is I was able to land 3 shots successfully on this guy and track him, which would have been impossible with my older DPI settings. So I think you need, at a minimum, on a mouse and keyboard, about 4K eDPI to be able to track a player like that. This is a good example right here of a player who's not in the top 0.1%. I just want to open that up as a comparison. It's no insult to that guy. I do that stuff all the time. Just trying to say that, like, you can tell by how these players move. You have to have TTK. Now, this isn't the best example necessarily, but making sure that I can basically 2-shot this guy is pretty critical at this level of play, right? If I can't 2-shot the guy, and I'll have some really good examples of what happens when you can't 2-shot these people. But if you can't 2-shot them, you can't hang with the top 0.1%ers, basically. You need to be able to get that optimal TTK. And peak shotting a lot of times won't cover you, because what they can do is they can jump right on top of you. If I'm 20, 30 meters out and I'm trying to peak shot you, by the time I go in and come back, you're going to be right on top of me with a shotgun, right? All right, here's a good example of a player where peak shotting is going to work, right? Because he's going to sit back in the background and play carefully and play cautiously and play his life. So I'm going to be able to come over here and come over to cover. We're gonna get some cover, and then we're gonna peek back out and finish him off, right? Super easy to do against a normal player. That maneuver is not gonna work against this next individual. Now, I don't really peek here. I don't really have a chance to, right? I see this next guy here, and I've got a round in him. It's a headshot. Second round misses because he's moving so well, and before, I think as I'm placing my third shot, which also misses, he's dropped me. And that's the third lesson here, or one of the lessons. The importance of TTK. Like, if I can't get you at an optimal TTK, I can't even hang. You cannot hang at this level without an optimal TTK. So eventually I switched to this other grenade launcher. Some things about here, I've got here is proximity grenades. You know what I mean? It's a lightweight frame. I'm not sure if that makes much of a difference, but you can immediately see the improvement. I'm not actually able to close out this match, but look how, I mean, he was 1 shot, right? You know what I mean? Very close. So closer. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys, right? We have the possibility. That's the TTK that we need right there. All right, I kept this in just to show that, you know, we're opening up with a shot. I've got low health here, and we're going to get challenged while we're in this state by this top-end player, right? Drop a nuke on him. We're not able to actually close it out there, but with that hot swap, I'm able to come in with that Hawk Moon follow-up and drop him. All about that TTK. I can go toe-to-toe with these guys. Again, these are top 0.1% players. I can go toe-to-toe to them if I have that. Look, I'm swapping once. I'm already being shot, swapping once. We're going to swap again and drop him out. I'm able to do 2 swaps there and take this guy out, right? He's doing that and hitting a perfect TTK with that submachine gun. So until I switch to this hot swap configuration, which, by the way, I boosted a bunch of handling, added a bunch of dexterity mods, and I think that helped because I'm swapping pretty quickly. Also being able to swap, like, as soon as you fire that grenade without waiting for it to launch realistically, you need to be swapping. Again, I can kill him consistently, right? Whereas earlier in the matches, when he was coming at me with that submachine gun, I did not have the TTK to take him out, right? With the right configuration, you can beat these players, but you have to have optimal TTK or you will lose. Nothing else matters until you have. It's like if you're playing the top 1%, 0.1% players, you have to have a minimum eDPI and you have to have the minimum TTK. Like those two things, check those off because nothing else you do, no amount of play. These guys aren't playing from cover. That guy I just killed was right out in the middle of the weeds, right? At this level, the cover is less important than optimal TTK, and you have to have enough eDPI to track them because they're moving fast, right? If you don't have those two things, you're gone. Now, yes, you do want to choose when you engage, and you want to move through cover. But as far as the engagement, peak shotting does very little for most of these players. You got to move out and drop them in less time than it would take you to go back and peek. So I disagree with, I know Shadow Destiny is going to be like, what the hell? Did you watch my video on playing 60-40 rule? You know, but you know what? Honestly, that works up until the top 0.1%. These players kill you so fast that if you don't have optimal TTK, you can't hang, right? And that's all it is. Anyway, I wanted to share this. Again, a lot of this is feedback thanks to you guys on things like my sensitivity. I fought it for a long time, but ultimately you can't track these players without at least 4K. I'm running 4K now. It's comfortable to me. I'm still moving my hand, not my fingers and my wrist, right? We're not getting carpal tunnel here. But I'm able to track. Barely. I was barely able to track him in that one zigzag slide maneuver he did, you know, but we are able to track. I could maybe bump that a little higher, go as high as maybe like 5 to 6K. I don't think I'd go any higher than that personally, just because at that point it becomes more finger and wrist motion instead of arm motion, and I just don't think that's good for your wrist. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but point is that I like moving my arm, and I like that extra sort of like tolerance it gives me in terms of any kind of like wrong moves. So that's it, guys. A more positive video on how to hang with the top 0.1%, right? That's it, guys. How to hang with the top 0.1%. Peace out, guys. Peace out. Oh, and dump that other grenade launcher. I don't know what you guys say. It's trash to me. I can't use it. How do you use those wave grenade launchers? I don't know. It's trash. Peace out.
Fuck.